From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicky Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Welcome to Garage Heroes in Training. I'll be one of your hosts, Vicky Fisher. Who else is hosting?
I guess it's me, Bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little awkward.
It's a little
For you.
backwards. It's all right. It's kind of like, sleeping on the wrong side of the bed, but whatever. It's fine.
Every time I listen, I wonder if you guys are in the same room or not in the same room. I can never tell.
It depends. Sometimes I end up in the bathroom,
Yeah.
sleeping in a tub. But
You don't have any couches?
when I misbehave, she doesn't let me use the couch. It's like the dog, you shall not use the couch. But
Yeah, I can't use that. Gonna shake the stick at you.
Exactly. Miss Vicky, we've got a familiar voice with us.
Yes, we do.
He is the co-founder of GridLife. He is the motorsport director of GridLife. He's also one of the hosts for the Slip Angle podcast. And he put up with us twice this year in person. Mm-hmm. And this is like podcast number 4, I think. So welcome to the podcast again, Adam Jabaay.
How are you guys?
We're doing well, sir.
What was the second event that we put up with you at?
We made it to Lime Rock. You were running around like a crazy person.
I don't remember seeing you.
We saw you
very late.
We saw you as you went whooshing by a couple times, but
that was my favorite event we've ever done of all time.
It's
a nice track. It's a nice track.
So pretty. We had really solid weather. There's some of the best people to work with, like the track staff. And for a first year, it felt pretty fun. Like it was a really good event on track, pretty clean. And we had a really, really good car show for the first time doing a car show on the East Coast. We were really, really happy with our partners with the Prime NYC guys, which is a really cool Instagram account. They have a lot of Japanese classics featured on the Instagram account. They do a lot of pop-up meets around New York and New Jersey and stuff. And they brought out some cool cars, some super unique stuff. And we had the arcade at night, and it was a pretty good chill camping environment. We can't do loud music there, obviously, but I was awake too late every night, and there was a hot tub, so that was weird.
I think one of my favorite parts about that track is the hill, because you get such a good visual on certain parts of the track. It's amazing.
What a great place to watch. And I thought the addition of the because I went up to spectate some of the time attack stuff. I thought the addition of bringing in like the big jumbotron, that really helped the spectator experience. And I think we're going to have some spectators that bring back their friends next year, so it should be fun.
Good.
Well, we're going slightly out of schedule and slightly out of order, but I wanted you to know that was the first time that Vicky has ever consciously remembered seeing drifting, and her brain just went.
Well, my idea of drifting was not that.
Nope.
So
what
not
was
racetrack
it?
drifting. Well, it was just basically, a bunch of guys that are like in a parking lot and they're going around cones,
like skid pad style.
Right. Yeah. Like and I was thinking, that's kind of what they're doing. They're more just doing it around cones and almost like a higher speed autocross.
Yeah.
But when I saw that going, wow. Of course, I was on the hill looking down from like the restaurant area and the where was it?
The tents.
Yeah, the tents. Yeah, we're looking down and I watched this guy going around in one of these little cars and he was drifting, and all of a sudden he went out of sight and I heard an explosion, like a pop of the engine. The engine just went.
Well, at least he was off track.
Yeah. That was pretty good.
The drifting at that place, we were really our drift lead and I, Nick Swan and I, we did a really intense drift drivers meeting. Usually it's a little bit more loose, but it was like the big requirement from Lime Rock. And this is the first time that's ever happened at Lime Rock. Then they've never let anybody like drift aside from like a couple of promo shoots. But our big requirement from them was like, don't tear the grass up and make it look really like, make it look good to a 50, 60, 70-year-old like regular who comes here just to take pictures and attend and watch things. Like,
Right.
don't let it be sloppy. And so we really tried to press it into the drifters' heads that we need to impress these people, and that will make this happen again. And it wasn't a lot of like pro level drifting. That was sort of on purpose. We chose a lot of like 80s, 90s cars and a lot of local drivers. And on their applications, I would say like a good, because it was an applied thing. It wasn't just like open for sale. And on their applications, I would say like a good 50 or 60% of them were like, man, I've been going to Lime Rock to watch racing with my grandpa and my dad forever. It's been a dream to drift it. Like a lot of them, this was like the culmination of their automotive hobby up to that point was like, holy crap, we get to drift Lime Rock, which was really special for a lot of the drivers. So it was really, really cool. It's super, super privileged to like be a part of that. So and I'll only get wilder. You need to come see drifting at like Gingerman Festival. That is wild and hairy and really fast.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of pros too. So the cars make more noise, they make way more smoke, but there was a couple of pro cars there. But yeah, Ryan Turk drifting the entire facility in his East Coast. Basically it's a pro car, but he calls it his East Coast car. Drifting the downhill was just absolutely nuts. Watching the end car was nuts. Super fun. So what a great event. I could talk about that event forever.
Yeah. It was pretty amazing. And even though we showed up late and we stayed for a little while, we had competing issues. Our team our team plan kind of fell apart with other things that had popped up, and and it was just a spontaneous run over. And even for the little bit that we did see towards the end of the day, it was amazing.
Yeah, it's such a cool place to just hang out too. Like a really cool facility. And everybody there is like nicer than the next person, which at like a pro level facility is generally not the case. Like I've been to a lot of like the IMSA tracks, and we've hosted at many of them. And like, yeah, the people at some of them are pretty nice, but a lot of them are not, because they do this pro, they do it their way. But that track was just so welcoming. They were so receptive to like a unique new event for them. And that's sort of like probably going to be one of our events that we really kind of pivot around the entire season in the future. We're really excited to keep doing that event and just blow it up and bring more people to that beautiful racetrack. So yeah, very excited about it. So, and I got to race one race. The place is super fun to drive.
Yeah.
That's what we heard. All the racers that we know, that we talked to, they said it was fantastic. They said it was a great track to drive, great track to pass, great track to race. And,
I had successful outing.
Yeah. It was it's so fun to drive that like, you don't even notice that's a short track. And you're totally fine with doing Friday, Saturday, because they don't allow anything on Sundays, because it's so fun to drive. Like it was just so fun to drive.
Right.
So I'd never driven it, and I had never driven the car that I was driving it in. And I was racing in Touring Cup, and that was a little bit stressful, but like, yeah, totally worth it. Totally worth it. I did have a weird experience at the end of my race. If you want me to tell a quick story about screwing things up.
Tell.
So, you know how like window nets, like there's a lot of different styles of latches and stuff. This car, it was CRX. My race director and her husband Scott, who's like our driver development lead and sort of like the head coach and do everything for GLTC. They have the CRX, and it's a little slow in a straight line for GLTC, but it was fine. That wasn't last place. And it's got this seatbelt buckle style window net. And the problem with those styles, it's like an old 70s, 80s GM seat buckle, and they just weld it to a rod. Somebody sold that kit for years. And so you put the window net in like the thing in the back, like the rod, and then you bang up on the seatbelt buckle. And I gave it a good old swat. And I thought, I pulled down on it. It was fine. Must have latched. And they have such they need to be perfectly straight, and they have a good amount of stiction on those seatbelt buckles. And I got within about 2 or 3 laps of the finish, maybe 3 laps. And I saw the leaders coming around at me. And I got up on top of the hill, and just before the right-hander, before the downhill, I basically stuck my hand in front of the window net to like show the leaders, I see you coming. I'm just going to hug this side. I was going to hug the right-hand side of the racetrack. And the window net fell down.
Oh no.
And you wouldn't think that's not, and I thought, shit, it's not that big of a deal. But
Right.
this thing also has a SWAT cable in the door that you pop the door with. That's how you open the door. It's just got a cable front to back in the door. And this window net wrapped itself around the SWAT cable on the door. And this cable was like so perfect that like you just touch it and the door pops open. Like you just barely touch it, like half a pound of pressure, and this thing opens up. Maybe not even. And it had wrapped itself, it fell down and it went towards the outside of the door and wrapped itself around this cable. And then I did the downhill, and there's like a little bit of a bump in the downhill if you're on the far inside, and then the door opened up.
Wow.
And I was like, what the heck?
What?
The door just starts open. Yeah, the door just opens up on me. And I'm like, what the heck happened? And I'm trying to like swat the door closed, and it's a gutted CRX door, which like has no structure to it. So like a couple of times, you know, the latch didn't hit right away. And I get on the straightaway, door shuts, and I like push on it. I'm like, okay, that's shut. And then I turn in for turn 1, or whatever they call turn 1. I don't know, they call it right-hander. I don't know what they call it, but they have names instead of numbers for turns there, which is kind of cool. But the first turn is a right-hander, and it's got a little bit of a bump in it because every turn kind of has some bumps in it, and the door opens up again.
Oh my God.
So every single right-hander for the next like 2 or 3 laps, the door would open up on me, and it took me like a full lap to figure out like WTF is going on.
Right.
And then there was like nothing I could do about it. And then the next lap, I'm just going down 2 cars wide down the downhill. You know, this is like a minute and 2 seconds later or whatever, and 2 cars wide down the downhill, and the door opens up and almost hits my buddy Austin.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was it wouldn't open
Oh
up
my
all the way.
gosh.
It would open up like 2 feet instead of like 3 feet, because the window net was like stuck on the cable. so
Oh gosh.
so it would open up like most of the way. But here I am trying to drive a car that like my knees in the steering wheel column a little bit, and like I'm like crammed into this little car, and I've never driven it, and I've never taken these lines or on this track in this car because I've never driven this track or this car, and the door is opening up on me, and I'm just trying like not to crash. I got out of the car and I thought, oh my gosh, that was enough of that, and and now I have really fond memories of my door opening up around Lime Rock.
That's right.
So, yeah, it was kind of dumb, but it was fun.
Well, at least we have an excuse for not coming in first in GLTC, so you're fine.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
no, I didn't come in last though. I didn't come in last. So nope.
That's awesome.
Nope. Yeah, I think I was like P20 out of 30 something or something like that. So
jeez,
that's a good amount of cars on that track though.
Yeah, we had 30 some cars on that racetrack, which is it felt like about 1,000. It was so many cars. So.
Yeah, and at the time in the season, pretty surprising if Tom didn't pass you 2 or 3 times, because he was a beast this year.
Tom was a beast this year. He passed me one time and one time only.
All right, that's fine. So
yeah.
So if you look back, you know, being Grand Poobah or co-Grand Poobah, whatever you want to call yourself, I like Grand Poobah. It just sounds good, rolls off the tongue. How was 2022 for GridLife?
It was motorsports wise, it was pretty amazing. Like we had a really good year. We had a pretty safe year, like where we didn't have anybody transported off site or anything in an ambulance. We obviously crashed some cars because in competition you do that, but I don't think anybody totaled anybody else's car in Touring Cup, which is great. We really strive for the like don't wreck your friends model, and I'm actually staring at the rules document for 2023, and we're getting even more intense about like here's how you don't crash into your friends, and defining a lot of things, and pretty excited about the direction for rules changes. Should be fun. But on-track competition was amazing. We were really pleased with the parity in time attack as well. And I think we're probably the only time attack organization that like looks to like build parity, so people have a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And like we're pretty happy overall. Like in the top 3 to 10 in every class is really, really close. It makes for really fun weekends. So
Sure.
yeah, we're pretty pleased with a lot of the motorsport stuff. It was a lot of events, kind of burned some of us out pretty hard, but
It was tough. We only did a couple, and it was tough.
Which
We
were
started
one of the
going-
ones that burned you out the most?
it was just the culmination of them. It was just like so many,
Yeah,
We
you guys really
started-
packed in a whole series of stuff. It's like
Yeah,
you threw it all
was like
together.
early March or end of February when we were at Coda, and then the next weekend, or like a couple weekends later, then we were at we were at AMP, and then the next weekend after that we were at Willow Springs, and then 2 weeks after that we were at NCM.
Oh yeah.
Then Blackhawk, and like it was like every, I think for about 200 days we were at a racetrack, like an average of every 7 to 10 days.
I bet you guys were just burned out with the time change and everything.
You start to like, I fell in love with my crappy RV's bed more. I like sleeping in that more than I like sleeping in my bed at my house. So
Wow. You're just so used
but
to it.
it is a better mattress, I think. Yeah,
It's like your little man cave. You go hide in it.
It's the best, and the AC is like it's got loud rooftop AC, like a '90s RV should, and it's
Right.
like you just fall asleep like a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed like you guys were like every other week for the end of the year. It was crazy.
It was basically until end of October, every 10 days on average. Like every 2 weeks we had like a 3-week break here and 1 3-week break there, and then we had a bunch of back-to-back stuff too.
Yeah.
And we did a bunch of non-competition events too. We did our Taco Track Day at Gingerman, our West Michigan Honda Meet, which is a 3-day event at Gingerman. Those are like kind of our DE only type things. We did our Blackhawk Farms event, which is not part of the points series, which is it's a 3-day, but it's only 2 days on track. And there is GLTC, but it's not a points event. That was one of the GLTC races that I raced my personal car in, which is always fun. I love that track, but I don't think dates are working out this year. Unfortunately, we can't get the weekends that work this year, but we'll definitely go back to Blackhawk again. But yeah, just a bunch of stuff that like it wasn't even on our calendar. We did like 14 events on the calendar, but we actually did like 17 events or 18 events. So yeah, it was a lot. It was just a lot, especially for a tiny team. Most of us have other jobs of some sort as well. So yeah, it gets pretty wild.
You show up at work just drooling.
It like there was days where like you get to work on Monday, like you're supposed to be there at 8 or 9 or 10 or 11. Like, well, you show up when you show up. Yeah. Especially because you drove 1,000 miles from NJMP the night before,
Yeah, I was going to say you expanded the schedule and expanded the terrain dramatically this year. So
yeah, it might be a little bit more fly-in next year for myself. That was a lot of miles behind the RV. I actually didn't drive the RV to Lime Rock, and I was missing it because I was sleeping in a tent. But yeah, it's a lot of miles behind the wheel of an old RV.
There are worse places to camp than Lime Rock, though. That's the I think the most surprising thing about Lime Rock is the first time you go there, you're like driving around, going, there can't be a track here. There's no way there's a track here.
You like can't even see it.
No, and then you get there and you're like, how did they put this here? So
yeah. And did you hear the story about the hiker that happened to us?
Yes.
No. I did.
Yeah, there's the Appalachian Trail. If you like look up to the right, that's from Spectator Hill. That's like the Appalachian Trail on the ridge of those mountains right there. And I guess there's a bunch of trails that you can like hike down next to. There's a creek down there, right next to the racetrack, and you can like watch some racing from the side of the creek. But the creek was dry, and there was a hiker that was like lost and hadn't eaten in a few days, and was like needing help. And he was like, "Oh, people!" He like heard cars. He heard cars, and there's a perimeter exterior fence at that track, and there's one hole for like emergency / photographer use, and like this dude during an advanced DE session climbed through the hole and was just walking down the side of the racetrack.
No, and the cars were on. Oh god.
Yeah. And like this is, you think Lime Rock's been around for what, like 70 years or 60 years? They've never had it happen before. And like we immediately assumed, I heard on the radio, I'm like, oh crap, there's somebody, because they were serving spectators, like they were serving beer and stuff. There's a drunk spectator on the racetrack. Typical stupid grid life. We're blowing it. And it turns out it was a hiker from the Appalachian Trail.
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
And they like in real time on the radio, they were like making a protocol for like calling like human on a live racetrack. Like the corner workers there were really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the first time for them too, I guess. So
wow.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
Oh my God.
So 2022, you're looking back with 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, I thought it was great. We got a little bit rained out at our Alpine Horizon Festival, which kind of sucks, but it was still a really great event motorsports wise. We just didn't have as many spectators as we want. It got really cold and wet.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we got through it. So, but yeah, looking to really push that Lime Rock event. Obviously, our Midwest Festival, the event we've done. This will be our 10th time this coming year. And then hoping to do a festival on the West Coast. So very tentative right now, but hoping to do, that one track with the corkscrew. So working on that
What's the one with the corkscrew?
I don't know. I'm not going to say it just in case it doesn't happen.
Oh, okay. All right.
You kill me sometimes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had a moment.
It's the really famous one.
You've driven there.
Yes. Okay.
Doofus.
I've driven a lot of tracks. I've done a lot of tracks.
You go to the top and the world drops away from you. That's that one.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yes, until we have like contract in hand, it's not, with any racetrack, it's not a thing. But we have negotiated. They've been talking to us forever, and then it kind of fell apart during COVID, especially when they had a big management change.
Yeah.
We've been talking to them forever. The same people there. Like they bridged the management change and everything. And now they're sort of affiliated with some of the people that work at Lime Rock as well. Like they share some team members on like the sales side and stuff, which is great. And yeah, we're working on how much does it cost to do a party there on a sound-free weekend. So it should be fun. It'll be one of the 8 sound-free weekends supposedly. So crossing my fingers.
It's a wonderful place.
I'm not going to say what track it is until I have a contract.
Nope.
Oh,
but I'm with you.
You know what I'm talking about.
She does now. She's awake again.
Yeah. Sorry.
So if that does happen, if it does happen, we'll probably try to support that event with either a Button Willow Springs, and then probably end the year out at Thunderhill also. So, and yeah, they won't all be championship rounds for like Touring Cup, but pretty much everything will be a championship round for Time Attack. So like your best 4 rounds count. So there will probably be national competition in Time Attack next year, especially if we have more than 1 round in California. So
awesome.
Yeah, it should be fun.
If only Sundae Cup was Time Attack, that would be great.
I think it's Time Attack.
I'm just messing.
that whole drama on, and I'm not on Facebook, so I don't know how drama it really was. I saw
it was
on
pretty
Instagram
bad for a while,
but
yeah.
That whole like Sundae Cup isn't real Time Attack from that Time Attack news crew.
Yep.
I'm still in the mindset, and I've said this on a few different podcasts. Like people are like, "Man, what makes Time Attack?" And I'm like, I think whoever's hosting the event, if they're like, okay, this is not time trial, this is Time Attack, I think that's what makes Time Attack. I think you just kind of call it that, and it is. Because there's, it's kind of what it is, I think. So that's my POV is if I say so, then it is.
Well, I just sit there and say, wow, people argued on the internet over something that really doesn't matter. Shocking.
Yeah, it doesn't really. And he actually came to our Lime Rock event and was a good sport about it. But I think most of it was just drama to try to blow up his, try to expand his social reach with Time Attack News, which is fine.
It worked well in the paddock, I'll tell you that.
I couldn't believe that like we got 5,000 people to click like on a social media post about. Is Sundae Cup a Time Attack class?
Yeah, no. Tremendous.
That was the most shocking thing. I thought we're going to get 600 tops.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So, Adam, you traditionally you started off, basically Midwest focused, and then you expanded to the East Coast this year. How'd that go?
I thought East Coast was really fun. You were at the NJMP Furnace event.
Ooh, yes,
It was the hottest. That track is really fun though.
it is.
And it's like there's so much room there. It was nice to just be able to like spread out and not have to worry about parking people, especially because like the weekend after or couple weekends before, we had to like really worry about parking people. And every track is different as far as the layout goes. But Gingerman and Autobahn, we have to like really park people, and then you go to NJMP and you could park 5 times as many people. So
Easy.
But really great crowd. We had like 100+ time attack cars, pretty good field of GLTC and the 30 somethings. And yeah, we were pretty stoked on NJMP. I'm excited to try and do that one again. We have the tentative date locked for that. And I think I told you earlier, I think we've got a handshake agreement on a fancy track in New York with the boot. So we're excited about going up to that place near Watkins Glen State Park, whatever racetrack that might be. So,
yeah. I heard they got blue bushes. That's all I know about it.
I've never been. So
No?
whatever.
Oh.
Never been. We're excited to do a site visit. I hope to do a site visit. Obviously, before we go, Chris has been there. My partner founder. He's been there, but only for fish shows.
That's shows.
I mean, I was going to say that's a
200
totally different crowd, but it's not
been
that
like
different sometimes.
Probably not that different from a festival crowd. But it's been like 260 fish shows or something crazy. So.
Wow. Well, it's like 2 hours from our door. So
cool.
If you need anything,
Have you been there multiple times?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I would assume so. Everybody I talk to, especially people that live, in the Midwest or East Coast, and have driven for a while, and everybody I've heard multiple people say this. Like everybody I talk to, you ask them what their favorite track is, and they say Watkins Glen, and
they do.
Like everybody says that, so it must be pretty good. But
it's good. I mean, the 3 answers you get around here are you get a little west of here, you'll get Mid Ohio, and then right around here, it's kind of Watkins Glen, and then we're on the border of VIR. Those are the 3.
Yeah, I think VIR. I've been to VIR a bunch of times. I really like VIR. The only thing I really don't like about it is that last like 2.5 hours of driving is a bunch of back road nonsense that's hard to do in a big rig, but it's a really great place to drive. I like a goal of mine personally is to host there. We've been a little blocked by the NASA boys out there, but like literally they're like, no, you guys can't come because NASA rents it too many times. So, which is fine. They've got a good home base out there. So
raise all boats, people.
Someday we'd you telling me. Someday we'd like to go there. And I really don't think that we're like a competition for NASA. I think like we're different. So
no.
But tell them that. Everybody needs to tell them that. Tell them that we love them and we hope that they're doing great, and we want to make more. We want to make more ovens and not slice the pie thinner. We want to make more pies because we have more ovens. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I think if we do those 3 events out there, and then we obviously have like our Mid Ohio event, which is a staple of our season for the past 5 years or so. That's kind of between here and there. And then we really kind of fell in love with another track, like between here and California. We fell in love with Heartland Motorsports Park in Topeka. And it's brought a bunch of our Colorado audience out kind of halfway towards Chicago. So we've really we've tried to kind of build a bunch of audiences all around the country. But the East Coast audience was great. Like we met a lot of new people. Obviously we towed a lot of our regulars out. We even had people from like Texas at NJMP and Lime Rock, which is wild.
You did. That was fantastic.
But it's a long way to go. But
they felt like they were home.
Yeah, it was nice and hot. We looked back at the data from the dyno though, like and the dyno's got a weather station on it. And the humidity during the NJMP weekend was like in the high 20s, which is can you imagine if it was in like the 80s or 90s, we would have all actually died. That was
the only thing that saved it because it was so hot.
So all season, like I just kind of wear a hoodie and just walk around, and everyone's like, "What are you doing? How do you do that?" And I find myself like you like get the initial sweaty, and then you just like then you're the same the whole day. But I can't put suntan lotion on all the time. Everybody thinks I'm crazy because I walk around in a hoodie with a hat on. And I didn't think it was that bad, but everybody told me it was awful. It just kind of felt hot, like everything always feels hot. But
No, it was
the humidity explained it. When I looked at the dyno data, it was like, oh, that's why it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it was easily the hottest we'd seen at a track. And the only thing that made it where you could hope to survive was the humidity wasn't like normal, because normally it's 80 plus 90+% humidity.
Yeah. And there's no trees there. Like there isn't a single tree.
No.
So
you can see them in the distance, but you can't get to them.
they're right on the other side of the racetrack.
Exactly.
I wish they would have left like 25 trees in the middle. It would be gorgeous, you know.
Well, we broke a few techniques to stay cool there, so we will share them offline, because online otherwise it's going to look like the caddy day at the Caddy Shack pool.
Oh
so
no, you pooped in the pool?
No, I did not poop in the pool. We kept it quiet. It was a candy bar, I swear.
Yeah, they do actually have a pool at NJMP.
They do.
Did you guys go to the food truck festival on Saturday night?
We did.
We did.
Yeah, and they just had the pool open to like anybody too.
They did.
If you were camping.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you could go camp. You could jump in the pool, and there was people swimming in the pool, and it made me think of Caddyshack.
Some of them may have looked like us, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
We did when Chris and I did the initial site visit last year, October sometime or late August, I forget. We flew out. I bought my Honda Fit at the airport, so we didn't have to rent a $300 a day rental car. And then we went straight to NJMP. And one of our first questions when we walked into the clubhouse, they were like, "Look at this cool restaurant! Like, look at this pool we got." And we're like, "How much to rent the pool?" And they were like, "It's only open. It's only for members." And we're like, "Why'd you show us this pool then?"
Why do you show us what we want and not give it to us?
Like one of our first questions was like, "Can we rent that pool? Can we just like use that?"
We have ideas.
What if it costs another $2,000?
Talk to me. Insult me. Tell me a number.
What's a pool cost? Huh? But yeah, we got a fat no this year, but hopefully next year we get maybe a little bit of pool access.
Yeah, we can talk. We have ways.
I would imagine money buys pool access. Like,
oh god, it's you're in New Jersey.
Like,
there's no doubt.
Yeah. What if you throw around just enough money to replace all the water and the chemicals?
That's right. How about I get you 2 of those tank cars with water?
Yeah, let's do that
on Monday.
They'll be here bright and early.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that would have been perfect if we could literally fill the GridLife pool party. That would have been like, I mean, that
especially with the bar right there.
Yeah, exactly.
And the food trucks right outside the area.
Yeah. I kind of want to do that. I hope they do the food truck festival the same weekend too. That was actually pretty rad. Like I rode in the back seat of a Time Attack, or in the back trunk of a Time Attack car over there because it's too far of a walk, and I only had my RV. And then you have like 6 meals, and then you have a couple of beers, and then you ride in the Time Attack car back home. So it was great.
Exactly. It was fantastic.
Yep. Cool track though, and they repaved. They repaved that track, and they're adding a section to it also. So I'm kind of curious.
There's options.
Yeah,
there's options now.
We'll probably pick whatever people say is the most fun option. Even though we have historical records there now, like if one of the new options is quote unquote way more fun, that'll probably be what we end up picking.
Well, we'll have been there a couple times by the time you get there. So
I would love your opinion on the different options.
we will give you our useless opinion, and you can throw it away as most people do.
Well, you drive old junky Hondas and stuff, so like your opinion, we're kind of the same people. Like your opinion's probably the same one I'm gonna have.
Yeah. Well, speaking of our cookie car, we managed to blow the engine up the weekend after, or the second weekend after GridLife went through New Jersey.
Yep.
Where did you blow it up at?
Thompson.
Well, we began to have issues at GridLife.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's done. So now we're putting in a new engine, but it's not that's same.
What kind of engine putting in it? Just another D16
D16
or whatever?
Yeah, D16,
Yeah.
D6.
We have like 3 of them that were given to us. So we're
Yeah,
just going to use
that's
those.
getting rarer. Those things are
Yeah.
they're turning into hen's teeth because everybody and their brother threw those things away in the late 90s and 2000s.
Mhm.
They are literally starting to get rare, and they're also 25-year-old engines now.
Yeah.
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 So we're redoing it, but the problem was we blew up our engine, and then like almost literally the next day you say, hey, we've got an endurance race at our favorite racetrack, PittRace.
Oh, that's
And-
your favorite?
And we had nothing.
We had nothing.
That
I'm like,
that track is awesome too.
It is. It is.
I couldn't believe how much fun it was. I actually took we were about an hour away from leaving on Friday morning early, and I'm like, you know what? It was a beta test event, so like, and we announced it late and stuff, so we knew we wouldn't have a lot of competitors. We had a dozen some drivers, which was fine for the first one. And we also had Time Attack and DE and stuff there, so I was like, I'm just gonna throw my GLTC car that I haven't touched since early July. Put a set of tires, put my best set of tires on it, which was also my most heat cycled out set of tires that I got free from an autocrosser because that's my budget, and threw it in the trailer and drove over to PittRace and really, really enjoyed ourselves. That track is amazing. It's so pretty. It's like we've hosted at Coda and Road America and stuff like at nice tracks, right? Like we're not always the club track buddies, even though club tracks are kind of my favorite.
Mhm.
But like, I think that facility is nicer than Coda largely. The garages at Coda have nicer epoxy and there's more of them. And like, that's the only thing that's better.
Yeah.
The place is nuts.
It is. And we enjoy it. We get together 3 or 4 times. But so what was how did the Enduros go? How did people respond to it? How do you guys think it went?
So we had really good response from drivers. We had a bunch of regulars, like we had a bunch of Touring Cup regulars do it so there's 3 classes. There's the base class, which is like B spec, basically. It's Sundae Club, which is Sundae Cup or B spec rules.
Mm-hmm.
So they're about the same. And we had some B spec minis in that, and then we built a middle class called Club Sport, and that's kind of squarely aimed at Spec Miata, Improved Touring A, the old PT stuff from NASA World, and like just kind of your random chump car and stuff. Like that's kind of right where your car would be.
Yeah, the Civic, yeah.
Yeah, and then Touring Cup is the top one. But that was great. I mean, it's shorter enduros. It's a shorter format for the enduros, but it's not only an enduro series. We do a practice, qualify, and then a sprint race, and it's aimed really at like a 2-person team. So practice, qualify, sprint race, and then there's like 2.5 to 3 hour enduro in the afternoon, and then the next day is a warm up, sprint race, and enduro again, the same shorter enduro. So, we might amend the rules a little bit to make the fueling like every hour, an average of. Right now, it's an average of every hour you have to make a pit stop, and the start counts as 1. So basically, there was 2 pit stops in a 3-hour race, and we're going with a spec dump can, which worked really well. VP actually, it's a VP can with and the nozzle is specified in the rules which nozzle, and that kind of levels the playing field with everybody in respects to like fueling time. But and no minimum pit stop time. You're allowed to take 2 cans in the upper 2 classes per pit stop. You're allowed to take 1 per pit stop in Sundae Club. So, which seemed to be fine.
Yeah.
But just trying to take the need of modding the daylights out of your fuel system or making a crazy dump can system. That's the only thing I was really trying to take out of the regular enduro world. And we really didn't want to just do the traditional enduro where like everybody does it in 7 hours or 8 hours or 14 hours, 24 hours, because there's a bunch of series that do a really good job with that. We wanted to sort of appeal to, I kind of built the enduro that would appeal to me nowadays, because we've done a ton of enduro stuff ourselves. But now in my state in life, I don't want to really burn my entire car down. Right. Because then I have to rebuild it. I don't have time. And you go through the bearings, the hubs, the brakes, the everything. After a full weekend, like what you guys seem to commonly do, you burn the car down, like
pretty much
hurt. And I really wanted to appeal to like the sprint racer crowd that like, maybe I could do a couple of pit stops, or like just maybe get a little more seat time, turn the power down a little bit or whatever. So, and I think largely we got tons of feedback that people really like the rule set. And I think if we bring that 2 or 3 times a year to different racetracks, I think it'll be pretty good. So we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I think it was a great option, and we would have been there to support if we didn't, burn our car down without being able to
blow
rebuild
your
it.
crap up. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, that happens.
Mhm.
That happens.
I guess we were finally racing a little hard, and it said that's enough.
Yeah, that happens. Did it rod knock itself to death or overheat the daylights out of it?
I believe we went for the head gasket failure.
Oh, that's a well chosen failure. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
kind of
We have one sitting in the machine shop right now,
okay.
and being done. They're making some tweaks to it also at the same time, and we're going to go ahead and do the second one on our own because I haven't done that one yet. But that ought to be a fun project.
Let's rephrase that. We're having it machined, and then we're going to build it. This first one, they're going to do the whole thing. We're just kind of in and out. But we're going to try to build the second one. We are not trying to machine. For those listening at home,
no, we are not machining. We are not machining, but we are assembling the next one.
Yeah,
that's right. Yes.
I've built a lot of that particular engine. That's the D series is kind of my knife of choice at my chosen gunfights. And it's a pretty robust little motor. The biggest thing that you want is if you build it at factory specs, it's usually totally fine. You want to check all your oil clearances and the bearings, and you can port the oil pump. I don't know if you know that. That's huge.
Yeah, that's already being done because apparently there's almost like a little bottleneck there. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah,
it's a crazy bottleneck in the output of that oil pump. Like basically, it's you can massage the daylights out of it. It's a nice, smooth, gradual turn, and it's super easy. It's like 5 minutes with a die grinder. But from factory, it's like a blam into a wall, tiny hard right-hander, like tiny little hole.
Yeah, so, these have all been machined. They've all been done.
Yeah, it really helps the flow on the oil pump for sure.
Yeah, and the other thing that because I have a Honda guy that we got the engines from, and he is kind of like my mentor through the.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So So
different one. I think.
Oh, you have multiple Honda people, huh?
Yes. We have our West Coast front wheel drive racing fan, and then we have an East Coast person that I think you met at New Jersey, and he's lovingly called Mr. Honda. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I listened to that podcast also. So.
Yes.
Yeah, he's my mentor through it, and and at the same time, he in his car he added. I don't know if it was a Dodge or a Ford, but it was like a truck level oil filter that he put in. Yeah. So that's going into this one also because we have this little race one that they put on. Yes, it's pretty, but it's tiny and it's expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm taking it out.
One of the other mods, and those things have like pretty good oil pan baffling in the steel pans. The aluminum ones don't. They have they have no baffling. But one of the other mods that I the longest I've ever ran my car is like 40 minutes. But I don't have an oil cooler, and I have a turbo on it. It doesn't make a lot of power. It makes like 180. It's a touring cup build. It's a low boost setup, but I've got one of the Canton pans, which is like a 8-quart capacity.
Right.
And it works pretty good. So lots of oil is your friend. So one way or the other, put a big
I put an oil cooler in right before our race season. Yeah. Which I'm so excited I did that.
Looks like we have a Midwest Honda contact to talk to too.
There you go. So
I've built Hondas for a long time, 25 years now, probably 22 years.
We're also putting in a new wire harness because because the person that had it before.
It was easier than dejankifying the thing that's in there now.
Right, because there's a lot of stuff that was taken out that we actually could have used.
I've heard that story before.
Extra
the harness
ports
is so
and
bad.
Things.
The harness is so bad. I can't reuse it. So.
Yeah, I think what it was, it was the diagnosis.
They saved weight though.
Yeah, the actually part where you can actually do the diagnostics on it.
Yeah, the jumper
light.
wire. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, they got the jumper wire that you could put in, but the actual one that you can
with the blinks.
look at the blinks.
Yep.
to see what's going on. Yeah, that's gone. We had to wire
That's
a new
dumb.
one in.
That's
And
dumb.
I'm like, yeah. So we're just like,
Yeah,
we have one, we're putting it in.
like every Honda that we played with, every
Uh-huh.
OBD1, every single OBD1 Honda had a paperclip bent into U shape in the glove
Yep.
box. Every single one.
Yeah, I
to make
found
it
that
easy
out
to
last
flash.
year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
what's the code? Stick the paperclip in the plug.
Yeah.
I always look towards my feet and not see anything, and then sit there and say, should I cut out this quarter pound of wire, or should I be
Yeah.
able to diagnose my car? I think I'll leave the wiring in. We'll be fine.
Yeah, and probably like 1.2 ounces. Quarter
Maybe.
pound
Yeah.
is a lot.
Maybe. Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, they're fun little cars though. They're really, they love being race cars. They just
Mhm.
absolutely, you can set them up 5 different ways too. You can make them push, you can make them tail happy, you can make them do anything.
Mhm.
And you can crash them into walls, and like if you don't crash them too hard, like you just tie them to a tree and pull them back out. I've done
That's
that
what we
too.
did.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're the best.
Unfortunately.
They're the best little cars. So
Yeah. Right
That
now ours
look-
is set up for neutral because the Vicky and Jennifer, this is their first time racing front wheel drive. So we wanted it to be kind of tame, and then we'll loosen it up.
I
as
mean,
things go
I
by.
really think pretty neutral is probably pretty fast at the limit too.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think like for years and years on like Honda Dash Tech and all the forums and stuff, everybody's like, oh, you got to have like double the rear spring rate and a giant rear sway bar so that it rotates, and
Yeah.
that'll be fast, right? And there's like a point. There's really a point of like, does it push real bad, or does it push just a tiny bit and it's all predictable? And like you get right to that neutral point where it's not tail happy, but it really doesn't push very hard. And
Mhm.
I think that's probably the sweet spot. Like nowadays, it's really like the fast setup is kind of softer rear spring rate and lots of rear camber, and let the thing move around a little bit, like let the suspension move. So it's a chassis. Those chassis are they're fun to drive. They're fun to work on. They're easy to work on. Like there's so much to love about that.
Mhm.
I think the first thing we did when we got the car was we took off this rear anti-sway bar. It looked like it was part of the Brooklyn Bridge. I mean, it was it was set. And I'm like, that's not going to be good.
Yeah. Now you can go factory. You can go no rear sway bar. You can kind of do whatever you want. It'll change things a little bit, but if you get decent tire, you get decent camber, and your alignment's in the right spot. I pretty much run them at zero toe and 3 some degrees camber for tire wear, and I don't run real heavy rates or anything. I kind of prefer a softer car. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I've played with a bunch of EGs like yours. I've played with a bunch of EFs. That's what I play with now. So, but yeah, they're really fun.
Mhm.
Yes. So far, the only thing we regret is we bought a parts car that was 1 year too new. So that didn't
Why is
help.
that?
Because it was the next generation. I'm like,
Oh,
damn.
the engines are still interchangeable. The trans is the same case too. You can use
Yeah, we
the
were
trans.
looking for body parts, and it wasn't
Nope,
quite what we
can't use
needed.
those.
Nope. I was like,
I mean,
damn
you
it.
can if
So
if you're
close.
like if you're good at self drillers and like you are cross-eyed, like you can make those parts probably work. But
Yeah.
they're not going to fit real good.
It was close enough we didn't notice until we went to go fix it. And then we take the part off, we bring it over to the other car, and we're like,
no, that's
this isn't
different.
the same.
No, and like the suspension's all pretty similar, and like
Uh-huh.
cross members are interchangeable. Like people actually prefer the later cross member for like a K swap and stuff. I guess it has more room or something.
Mhm.
But the rear suspension, for some reason, they made the rear lower control arm like longer on the next generation, the 96 to 2000s, which is weird. And so it's its own like part unto its own. But the shocks are interchangeable. The rear trailing arms are the same. Just the lower control arm's the only part different.
Yeah.
Yep. Still good little cars.
And we just ended up donating it to a friend who runs Honda Challenge up in the Northeast. So hopefully they'll have like a arrive and drive rental kind of thing, so we can get
Okay.
some people.
Yep.
So that'll be fun.
Pass it on. Yep.
Exactly.
More ovens.
So I've got 2 things to talk to you about the Sundae Cup series. One is
Okay.
the impending. I think you're aware. Vicky's coming with a Fit, and
Okay.
I'm coming with a Mini.
Oh man, what size are the motors in the minis? 1.6.
I think it's a 1.6. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a couple of minis and they do pretty well. Like quite well actually. Our buddy Eric Streeter ran a bunch of events this year. The Fit first and second gens, they do great. We've even had some third gens now. I have a second gen Fit in 09, and I just love that car to death. Like they're great little cars. But I think the rule set's it's so basic that like I'm still waiting for it to get broken. We've got some pretty fast drivers in it, and most of them are in fits. But we have had a Escort ZX2 from like 2000 win a couple of events this year, and everybody's like, "Oh, that car's got to be a cheater." But if you look at it, like it's like a P51 Mustang versus like a C130 in shape. So like the little Escort just real slippery, and we've dynoed him, we've weighed him, we've tech inspected the car with an inspection camera to make sure there's nothing funky going on. We were looking up part casting numbers and stuff. I think he's legit. So it's a bigger motor. It's a 2-liter, but it doesn't make any. It makes like 89 horsepower. It doesn't make anything to the wheels. So,
that's fantastic.
But he was the guy at NJMP.
Right.
He drove out from Colorado, Lucas. He drove out from Colorado. We've met him years ago at Alpine Horizon Festival. He was like one of the regular corner workers there, and he had followed us for a while. So I got to know him, and because at PPIR, like basically we run our own race control, we run everything. Like we manage the racetrack. So there's nobody from the track managing it. They're just like, here's your corner workers. Which is kind of fun. I kind of love doing that. I love doing race control and all that. So, but he drove out to NJMP, which is his first time he was ever at a different racetrack. He'd only driven PPIR, I believe, for years, like for 15 years, and drove out. And in his first session, hiked a wheel, landed, broke the diff into a million pieces.
Yep.
He had driven this thing all the way there. And so he pulls the trans out and he's like, man, there's one trans in like Ohio I could go get if somebody could bring me there. And I was like, Smetagard and ASM, they have a welder. Let's pull that diff out and weld that diff, man. And and he did it. I pulled the diff all apart. And by Sunday midday, he had it back together, and he was still working grid. He's helping out, doing tech inspection. And by Sunday midday, he had the car back together, and he's like, I'm just going to drive for a while. And I was like, you are crazy, man.
Oh gosh.
He was the last car on track, and then he loaded it up and he drove it back to Colorado.
He looked like he was having a blast in the.
Oh man, he loved the welded diff too. He's like, it's the best, man. The car just turns in so well. It's crazy.
I was going to say it might be better.
It would be, and it's illegal for Sundae Cup because you have to have an open diff in Sundae Cup. But yeah, and he ended up breaking the diff like one track day in is when he got back to Colorado. It broke the welded diff. So, but he was at home, so he had a transmission. But yeah, cool story. And then he followed us out to Heartland this year, and did really well at Heartland as well. So went real fast.
So for those listeners who want to give Sundae Cup a try and are worried that they're going to come in last, just make sure it's the races that Vicky and I are at, and we'll take care of that for you, and you'll have somebody to compete.
Oh, you guys will probably do fine. We have always got a wide variety of talent. I'm sure you'll slot right into someplace. And there'll be plenty of people to race with.
That's awesome. It'll be fun because you know what the only thing better than a Sundae Cup car is, Adam?
What's that?
2 Sundae Cup cars.
Yeah, and you can just drive them to the track too.
Exactly.
You don't even have to tow them if you don't want to.
No.
I feel weird towing mine. I'm like, this is weird. Why am I putting this car into the trailer?
We can actually fit 2 of them in our one trailer, so that's kind of fun.
Little 12-foot long cars are the best. I just drove mine to a wedding on Falcons on track tires. I drove it and G-Lock brake pads. I drove it to a wedding in Cleveland. And I drove it up to Waterford Hills in Detroit a few weeks before then to like do a site visit and like do a half-day test day at Waterford just to like see that racetrack. It's a tiny little club track in Detroit, really fun track. Yeah, I love driving my Sundae Cup car. It's really, really fun. It's so basic, so simple, and like so repeatable. Like it's always the same. Like nothing ever breaks. It's just the best. They're the best cars. So.
Exactly. So speaking of the best cars, though, Adam, we're going to be doing the Sundae Cup 1 lap entry series this year.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard, that you're hoping to do 1 lap, huh?
We are. We should be ready in a couple weeks.
What car are you going to take?
Well, since I'm the one who's allowed to work on the Mini, we're going to take the Fit. Because I'd rather have Vicky work on a car than me work on a car anytime.
Well, the Fit's probably your reliability winner because it's a basic Honda that's not going to break itself, hopefully. So That would be the one that I would take as well. Yeah. What are you doing suspension and brake wise? Anything?
Yeah, we got a from Redshift. We got who makes them, Vicky? What's the name?
No,
They're
Redshift.
made by
Redshift.
Standard.
Yeah,
Standard.
Redshift revalves them. It's just like generic monotube stuff. Yep.
Mhm.
Previously, Redshift did BC coilovers. He would take those apart and revalve them. But yeah, I guess they're really good for the money, especially. So
Mhm.
a bunch of Sundae Cup guys have Redshift stuff on their car, and a lot of track day drivers also. And we've got Redshift built coilovers and GLTC and track day everywhere. So they do a pretty good job.
Mhm.
And bonus, they're less than 2 air miles from where I work, so that was easy.
They're right by you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So if you ever need anything in a hurry, and you just let me know. Until
Good
they
to
move.
know.
Until they
Good.
move.
For some reason, I thought they were in Ohio, but
No.
I think that's Pro Parts that used to rebuild Conies. So
Could be.
Mhm.
Could be.
No.
Captain's log supplemental.
So Miss Vicky,
Yes, sir.
do you remember when we were watching those WRL events and some of those GridLife events where you used to see the in-car video and it had like the cameras seeing front and back, but it also could see all the telemetry and everything that was going on?
Mm-hmm.
You know, most of the ones that we liked were taken by the Sentinel system. Remember James came on our podcast earlier?
Right.
You know, we have no excuse since he lent us one for trial and demonstration purposes. We should actually probably put that in one of our cars, maybe
I
two.
really think we should.
I think we should,
I know.
because then we'd look like the immature endurance racing team that we are. Oh wait, I mispronounced that, didn't I? Sorry, my bad. We could
So what does
have-
the Sentinel system do?
We could have 3 cameras with picture in picture. We could have, if we ever get the AIM system to work, open invitation to anybody from AIM to come on and give us a little bit of love. We need some help. And then we could have all our telemetry on there. And then we can have it streamed live into the paddock or around the world to our millions of fans. We're apparently very popular in Kenya right now. Don't know why, but that's fine. And it can integrate all the available race statistics from like Race Hero and everything. So we could actually see how we're doing on video. We wouldn't even have to carry around our phone anymore. Live.
I love it.
What's going on this winter, Adam, with GridLife? You guys got anything going? You got any fun
So
festivities?
in the wintertime, we usually obviously go to PRI, like everybody in the racing world in the Midwest, especially. We're going to have a booth there. This will be, I don't know, December 8, 9, 10. So if you were at PRI or you are going. So we have a booth there, and we're going to have a bunch of sim rigs in it, doing kind of a sim competition every hour. Should be fun. We got a really good, like, PRI gives us the best booth spot the last few years. It's right in the middle of the 2 halls.
Wow.
It was great. Like, we felt like kind of the belle of the ball last year. Also, like, they have they put decals all over the convention center and stuff, and like, you walked out one set of staircases and like all of the risers on the stairs, if you were at the right angle, created a picture, and it was like 4 GLTC cars battling at Midwest Festival.
Wow.
Right.
And then like every third like PRI banner that was hanging all over like had GridLife stuff on it, which was pretty rad. So yeah, PRI is I mean, it's the same people that put on the SEMA show, but they sent their media crew to some of our events last year. And we've been friends with Jim Lau, he was one of the founders of Formula Drift, and now he's the president or vice president of PRI. We've been friends with him for a while, and so yeah, we have a good relationship with PRI themselves, and they really they put our stuff all over, which was rad. So,
Wow.
but yeah, it's a good show though. That's where like everything seems to actually happen. It's like SEMA without all the Pep Boys nonsense, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the distilled racing version of SEMA. So, but then every year for the past bunch of years, we've done a bunch of esports stuff. So we got the GridLife iRacers, and then there's a bunch of like pop-up leagues, people racing in Assetto Corsa and doing Forza, and there's all kinds of stuff. Like our drivers themselves do a lot of it, and then we sanction and stream and stuff, a bunch of stuff with GridLife iRacers. So,
Right.
And those are always fun to. I enjoy watching them because they feel kind of like, because I know half the drivers and they feel like GridLife events because Kyle hires announcing them with somebody, you know. So those will be up probably on our YouTube channel and our Twitch channel. Yeah, that's about it. Hopefully, if the ice is good, we will do some ice racing up with the buddies in Wisconsin. We've done that a bunch of years now, probably 5 or 6 years. Last year they plowed a mini Gingerman, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, up in
That's
Stevens
awesome.
Point, Stevens Point, Wisconsin. They did like a 1 mile version of Gingerman, and it's ran kind of like an autocross, but they plow a track, and if you crash into the berms, like it can actually screw your car up too.
Yeah.
But ice racing is so stinking fun. If you ever have the ability, you should do it. It's really, really wild.
Really?
Yeah, especially
That's on his
studded
list.
tires.
It
Studded
is.
tires too, like studded tires, no horsepower, Miata. That's the combination for the best Saturday ever. So
we're
Wow.
going to get a Sundae Cup ice racing group together, or what do we think?
I think you buy a set of pre-built studded tires, like the real studded tires that they build are like 5/16 bolts and washers inside and out, and they like glue them all together, and then they fill the thing with tire slime, and they build these are like real studs. They're not just like the kind that you screw in, which probably
Right.
would help too, but they build these crazy, and then they sharpen them with like snowmobile, I think they call them snowmobile stud sharpeners. Like they're like death tires. They're insane, like Reaper wheels. But it like you take off really fast, like they hook like drag tires, and then you kind of drive it like you Scandinavian flick a lot, especially rear wheel drive. And like it's like lift throttle oversteer and power oversteer, and like even with no power, like it's just the best, most fun experience.
Wow.
It's really cool. If you can ever do it, you should do it. So we've done that for a bunch of years. We'll probably do one weekend of that, and and we've also got a new side hustle business in Chicago called Car Club, which is a car club and also car storage facility. We had the ability to like take over a bunch of unused warehouse space where we had a little bit of warehouse space, and we thought, wow, that's going to be an ambitious project, but I bet a lot of people need car storage, and I bet they also want to like hang out with us and watch F1 and play with our simulators and maybe do some good value track days at Autobahn and Gingerman. And so we're starting a thing called Car Club. If you're a member, you get access to our events, and also if you're a car storage customer, you are a member as well. And so we have storage for like 70, 80 cars, and spots are actually filling up. I think that business model might actually work.
Wow,
so,
that's good.
Our office, we're building our office in it. Previously, with the landlord, didn't even know that this was a room. There's like a giant room above the whole thing. He thought it was just like the roof. It's an ex-factory from like the 40s or 30s. And so we're building out our office to like look down over top the cars, which is going to be super fun. So,
Right.
We had like one little corner of this warehouse, and there was a bunch of makeshift walls set up, and the landlord was just kind of like sick of dealing with all these people that are just storing like washing machines and random crap everywhere. And he slowly started kicking them out with the intention of us doing this. And this has been like a 1-year project. And there's an on-site detailer, tinter, and wrap guy. And likely there's going to be an on-site car setup, alignment, track coach guy also that'll have like a separate stall inside of it. So
wow.
It's right off of Montrose and 94 on the north side of Chicago, pretty close to downtown. So if you know anybody in Chicago that needs a place to park a car,
we do actually, scarily enough.
It's low car friendly and behind 3 garage doors. It's kind of a bat cave. It's pretty rad. So.
That sounds awesome. I'm just shocked that you were so bored you needed something else to do, Adam.
It wasn't my idea. This was Chris's idea.
Okay.
I live on the opposite side of the city, so like every time I have to go in, it's like a slog through traffic. And I'm also the construction guy, along with our ops guy Charlie. So like me and Charlie are kind of building this out, and I'm sick of driving through Chicago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's going to be a really cool space though. I'm very, very excited about it.
Sounds like fun. It sounds like fun.
Yep. So anyway,
So what's the live streaming plans for next year? Because that's the best racing on TV is actually yours, in my opinion.
well, that means a lot. I appreciate that. The live stream plan is so it's twofold. There's the time attack, and then there's the GLTC live stream plan, and they will take place at the same events, obviously, because you don't bring the stream everywhere because the stream is very expensive. And all of our partners like Falcon and Momo and 303 Performance Stable and Valvoline and all of them, they like the live stream is only possible because we have these people that these groups that believe in making it a thing and bringing more people into amateur motorsports, which is rad. But it's very expensive and it's hard to produce and it's expensive and it's expensive and it's expensive. So it'll probably be
expensive and expensive.
So
It is.
It'll probably be at half a dozen rounds this coming year, which will be called championship rounds, and that will feature GLTC and time attack. But there will be more than just half a dozen championship rounds for time attack. But GLTC will probably only have 7. And one of them will be our COTA Super Special, which is we are support series for the Super Lap Battle time attack event, which isn't GridLife time attack, but it's GTA Global Time Attack / Super Lap Battle time attack. And that has a live stream as well. So that will be streamed. They do a great job too. But we've done that for the past 3 years. This will be the 4th year that we've been at COTA with them. I actually heard about COVID at that racetrack the first time I was at that racetrack. That was where people were like, "Hey, you heard about this COVID thing?" And I was like, "Nope, I'm doing racetrack stuff at COTA for the first time." So,
Wow.
But yeah, so we're going back there. But then there will be half a dozen streamed GridLife only rounds, and it's kind of TBD on which ones exactly. But Touring Cup will be the same basic presentation as it is. We've got a little bit of an altered format for time attack, where there's a bunch of the traditional time attack where you go out, set your fastest time, you gridded fastest to slowest for the next session. Those would be called the practice rounds. And then you'll break out into, and fastest time still counts for the weekend, obviously. We'll break out into qualifying rounds after that. Which sets the grid for the top 5 fastest. We'll have kind of a shootout style for the actual podium for the weekend. But overall, it should kind of like build towards a more presentable and like relatable, like you can focus more on 1 and 2 cars at a time for the broadcast, and like that will set the podium for the weekend is that final session. So and that will happen across all the classes. Like the classes will, and Sundae Cup, actually we've got the plan to do a knockout style final, and that'll be the only one that does a knockout style. Sort of like, the top 5 cars go out, the top 5 up to that time. And then there will be actually a last chance session where somebody could come and snake the record, but the podium will be set by the finals session. So you could actually get a record and not actually get the podium for the event, but which is interesting and different. But the Sundae Cup one will be the top 5 go out, and after lap 2, the fastest 4 cars stay out, and the last car gets the black flag, and then fastest 3 cars stay out, the last car gets the black flag, and so on and so forth. Last car on track gets the checkered flag and wins the event for Sundae Cup. So that should be kind of fun for Sundae Cup because they're semi-reliable. So but yeah, that'll be a little bit different presentation for time attack. Kyle especially has been really working on like, how do you make it more, because right now it looks like DE for the most part,
It does.
It's just hard to, I think if we really ramp up the excitement towards this final session for every class, I think it'll be a lot more watchable. It should be really fun to do. Seat time per weekend isn't really going to change. It's kind of the same. We're just doing it a little differently. There will be a little bit less DE to make some time for it, but we're also at some of the rounds going to have the Model 3 Challenge out of Canada. That'll be electric time attack series.
Oh wow!
That the Mountain Pass Performance guys are going to be hosting. So that'll be at a few rounds also. So it should be super interesting for the live stream next year. So
it sounds like it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, we're trying to make really fun to watch stuff. We want time attack to be just a little bit more fun to watch than it is. And but also we'll stream some of the qualifying stuff. Like there'll be a lot of the same as it is for Time Attack, but I think those finals and those shootout sessions are going to be really fun to watch. So
that does sound fun.
and
So-
also more time for like Kyle and the other announcers to like talk about individual drivers, talk about their history, their builds, etc., which is super cool. So
what would young Adam have thought about Mr. Barber's impression of GridLife?
Oh, do I have questions?
Yes.
And so my impressions for Skip Barber is that he himself, I think you're talking about Barber's Motorsports Park. No, I have met Skip Barber and I've sat down in a meeting with him. And when the first time that we were at the racetrack, this is an aside, might not answer your question at all, but first time we were at the racetrack, he was like, so what is Touring Cup? And I explained it to him and he was like, I've been telling every sanctioning body that asks what they should do, that they should do single classes at a time, make the races shorter and do more of them. You guys are doing exactly what I want to do.
Okay.
So instantly Skip Barber was a fan of the Touring Cup format, which was cool. But anyway, sorry, what was the question about Skip Barber?
It was what would young Adam have thought about being told that this was going to happen to him when he was growing up, that Mr. Barber was going to have an impression about something that you'd made in racing?
So that would have been like the first time I heard about him. I was pretty little is when I started reading Grassroots Motorsports, like, I don't know, 10, 12. And there was something about Skip Barber, like the racing school. And then I read a magazine interview, an automobile with him maybe. And like, he always seemed like this like legend dude who's, he ran F1 in the 60s or whatever. Right. Yeah, it was like pretty wild to hear him like validate this idea that like literally I had to kick it into GridLife. Like everybody else is like, we can't do sprint racing, dude. It's not going to work. And I was like, yes, we can. We're gonna. It took years. But yeah, it was, and like now it's obviously like the pinnacle of what we do is GridLife Touring Cup. And it's like nationally and internationally known, like this is what we do. We get viewers from everywhere. But yeah, it was just weird to have like somebody of his accomplished status, like validate just my dumb ideas that turns out they're not that dumb.
Not yet. So far, so good, right?
I mean, this is our 19, 20, 21, 22. This is our fourth season. We're going into the fifth season of Touring Cup, and it's like stronger than ever. So, and we were on Chris and I did an interview earlier this morning, and just like a quick one for somebody doing a YouTube show, which was awkward because I was standing in a construction trailer and it was snowing outside. And Chris said that like the goal right now is to like protect and preserve these classes and just refine them. And I hadn't thought about it that way, but that's always been kind of the goal. It's like, if the class is good, like any of the classes, if the class is good, like we want to protect, preserve, and refine. And the goal of that should always be parity and fun and accessibility. So that's kind of always that's always the goal, is to make these classes the most accessible that we possibly can make them, but also, let people build the car that they want to build. Let them think up, it's always fun to daydream as you drive to work and back. Like, what's the mousetrap that I want to build to try and beat Tom O'Gorman, or try and beat Eric Cattell, or Aaron Lichty, or James Houghton, or any of the fast guys in Touring Cup, or some of the really fast guys in Time Attack. Like, what would you build to beat Ferris, or Houghton in the Evo, or Dewey DeWitt in the street mud car, Jackie Dinger? Like these drivers are building their own profile and like getting to be recognized as like, oh, that's a fast car. That's what a fast car means, is like Jackie's Supra, or
Right.
Stuff like that. Like Will All Young's Civic, like that's a fast car. Ferris's Corvette. Like it's just cool to be kind of behind the scenes and a part of like just hopefully moving the sport forward and making it be a thing for the next 25, 30 years,
I can see that.
Yeah. And I really don't want to do it anymore. So like, I think I can honestly say that it's like not an ego thing. It's more like I have to do it. Like I just can't let it go. If I can be of service to it, I want to keep doing it, because like these people at the racetrack, like these are these are some of my closest friends. Like you get stressed out going to the track. Like I might leave my family at home, and I'm like, my other job like suffers when I'm not there. And because I work 2 full-time jobs, I don't know if everybody knows that, but I run a construction company as well that I kind of am ushering my parents to retirement in. They're almost there, but like I get all this angst building up to an event. You got to prep, and you got to fill the trailer, you got to load everything, you got to make sure the pallets are on their way. Like, what's the arrival time? Make sure the transponders are charged, make sure the radios are charged. You make sure your crappy old RV isn't going to break. Do all the maintenance on that. And you get on the road, and like as you get closer to the racetrack, you're like, oh, I got to go see my friends. Like all my best friends are there, and you like get there. And within a few hours, it's just like the best family reunion you could imagine. Like
Right.
pretty much anywhere. And like you get that with, when we ran with Lemons, we had the crew that we always parked with. We ran with Champ Car, we had like the crew that we parked with. It's the same thing with like every series. And if your series doesn't have that, like you can build that anywhere too, like just by smiling and talking to people. And I think it's a big part of this hobby that most people get. But if you're listening to this and you haven't gotten that, like you're missing the most part of the hobby. But yeah, it's like just building this community. Like I want to keep building it. So I don't care what anybody thinks of my rules, as long as my community is strong, which generally it is. Even on 100-degree days, like I still had a pretty good time at night at NJMP. It wasn't wild, but I was talking to people till 1 a.m. I couldn't go to bed like usual,
Yeah, you were well baked. So speaking of rules, I have one question.
Yeah.
And it's not criticizing your rules, but it might end up sounding that way. But it's not intended that way.
You're totally allowed to.
So I'm watching the season wrap up of the series on the live stream, which is can't miss TV, even though it's on YouTube for me, but whatever. And I tune in. And somebody says that there's a way that Tom O could possibly lose the series at this event. And I'm like, then the rule scoring system is wrong.
No, there totally was a way. There was, and realistically, like before the event even started, they had given away their backup motor. And so they had sold it to a new driver, Tony, who came from Chicago and had never driven Touring Cup before. And he was going to pack it up, and I was like, hey, you should go talk to Andy. Andy's got a motor, I think. He did the test day, which is a Thursday. And he's like, okay. And I'd emailed back and forth with him. He had a bunch of questions. So I was like, that must be Tony. And so I went and talked to Tony when I arrived, because he was already there doing the test day. And then he blew up his motor. He actually beat the bearings out of it when the flywheel came loose. And so he's pulling the flywheel off and everything, and couldn't get the flywheel off. It was like stuck onto the snout of the crank because it was so beat up. And he went and bought the fully dressed K-Swap S2000 setup that ASM always brings to the racetrack. It's already got the oil pump, the oil pan, the everything on it. It's ready to go. It's the same setup that Tony has in his S2000. Right. Went and bought that from Andy. So they gave up their backup motor, right? Yep. We used the Team Myriad lift in the Myriad 3-car trailer to like lift the car up and down and get the motor back in and stuff. And by 1 a.m. we had like Tony's car running again. And I had told myself I was going to go to bed. I wasn't drinking at this event. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to be a person, right? I'm going to be an adult. And what am I doing at 1:30? I'm swapping an engine, sober as a bird, like.
Oh gosh.
And turns out I was like the impetus of making all this happen, because I like connected all these dots. Then I was like, oh, Jake's got a trailer. They're probably not doing anything. Jake likes to party. And what were they doing? They were like cooking wings and drinking beers. And I was like, hey, Jake, this is Tony. Can he use your lift? And Jake's like, absolutely. And so since I had connected all these dots, I got roped into doing the engine swap with them, which was kind of fun. But so anyway, ASM gave away their backup motor, and they've got like 5 or 6 GLTC S2000s operating out of their camp that weekend. So, so theoretically, like a mechanical or like a really rough weekend could have taken Tom out of the point series, because so many other people had actually done really, really well, that if the final round like ended up being like way less points, Swenson or Smedegaard, or I think somebody else could have actually won, like if the other people went out. So Tom needed to always have a good weekend. They did a lot of really, really good driving this year. But they actually did more rounds than they needed to do because they had so many customers renting or, that they were supporting. So, so Andy and Tom drove a lot of events, and, but yeah, it did come down to the last weekend because literally last year's rules said it had to. Next year's rules will be an average finishing position over 5 or more. So, and we're doing that mainly to encourage really, really solid driving, solid car prep, and not crashing into your friends. So there won't be any potential drop weekends or drop races next year.
Okay.
It's sort of evolved from like your best 20 races, and you could drop, the race where you crashed into your friends or the race where you blew your shit up or whatever. And then it evolved into this one where you couldn't drop any individual weekends. But if you ran more weekends, and that was some of that went down to like, what's the bottom line? We have to pay some bills. We got a lot of bills to pay, a lot of racetracks to go to. So if somebody had a bad weekend at Mid Ohio, they could always show up at Lime Rock, or they could show up at PPIR and try to have a better weekend. And if they ran enough of them, their bad ones would cancel out. So, but next year it's going to be average of everything, and there will be less Touring Cup rounds in the championship. So. Yeah.
So I'm still on my soapbox. If Tom would have not won, that would have been wrong. After the season he
was absolutely dominant last year, but he didn't win everything. And a lot of it,
more than half.
He did. Yeah, he actually won half of the races, I believe, of the year. So, and not the weekends, but the races. He won half of the races themselves. So, but it wasn't like a blowout. They really formulated like a really good build with those S2000s.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of a real sweet spot in the rules and driven really well. And I'm excited about next year because lots of reasons, but I hope they come back. I think it'll be a really wild party. So
it should be for sure.
Yeah. So anyway,
that's my hard-hitting journalism question for the podcast.
But you gotta be real good all the time. And the championship weekend, the finals at Heartland was definitely in the rules, as you have to do well there too. So, but like same thing with like SCCA runoffs. Like if you have a dominant season and Super Touring Light all year at every single race you go to, and then your crap blows up on Sunday morning during the STL race, like you don't get to win STL. Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah. And same thing with NASA National Championships. Their championships are a little bit different format, but like you got to do well that weekend too. We were a little bit different, but it's kind of similar. You always have to do well, and if you don't do well one weekend, it might cost you the whole season. Same thing happened last year at Road America. Eric Catil was leading the points.
Yep.
Jeremy Swenson was chasing him, literally and figuratively, just barely. And it came down to the very last race. Eric Catil drove into a situation and literally put himself into the wall, so he didn't drive into somebody else, and Swenson won the championship. So.
But he did build a hell of a car after he did that, though.
In like freaking no time at all, like 6-8 months too. Unbelievable. It was just featured in Super Street too. So.
Yeah. We watch from a distance how he builds and his Instagram account on like the little videos on what he's doing and how he's doing it. And I'm just sitting there going, I don't care if you can't drive. I don't care if you're not like one of the fastest in GLTC. I would watch just for what you're doing, because it's art more than mechanic.
Super impressive, especially for somebody who really hasn't built a lot of cars. But he just approaches things differently than the average car enthusiast. He's an engineer. He actually literally is a Honda engineer. And he was part of the original rules committee basically for Touring Cup when like 5-6 years ago, about 6 years ago, he started a group chat with 5 or 6 of us because he had bought his old Civic and he was going to race SCCA. And he was on a forum with us and started a group chat. He had met me at one event, and our buddy Brad Adams, Mike Taylor, Christian Ship, and then our buddy Derek got into that group chat eventually. And that group chat basically with Catil saying, how do I road race? And like, how do I set this car up? Like just kept going for pushing a decade now, probably 7-8 years. And that's where we actually came up with most of the core concepts of the original GLTC chat. So if he had not bought that old car he bought it for like $2,000 too. And it was like a full built Honda Challenge 4 ITA car.
Mhm.
If he hadn't bought that car, Touring Cup might not exist also. So glad he had it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, we'd like to thank you for building a true no contact allowed race series.
We're trying. They still do it sometimes. So, but they still do it sometimes, but they don't do it all the time. So
It's not the goal, and it's not normal. How about that?
yeah. The goal is perfection, and it stems back to like bodywork sucks, sure, but like how many club racers and amateur enduro racers and like people like us have been turned off just because like they got their car crashed into too many times.
Mm-hmm.
We're probably talking more people than currently do it, have been turned away from in the last 50 years. So I think that culture shift is inevitable, and it has to happen. But I never wanted to go down that road where like rubbing is racing and wreckers are checkers. Like that sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks a lot.
Yeah. It's elective surgery, ideally.
Yeah.
Not required.
You want to go under surgery because you like want to lighten your radiator core support, not because you have to, because it's pushed through your radiator.
Or sitting on turn 5.
Yeah. You left your splitter and your wing and your rear hub and your rear fender out there too. So.
Yeah. Well, Adam, we plan on bringing up the rear this year in your Sundae Cup series for the events we can get to.
Yeah, I would love to see you guys. Love to record live, maybe too.
That would be even more fun. But your weekends, I've seen them. You can't even do your podcast, Adam.
We generally don't, because we forget. But if somebody approaches me and they're like, "Hey, you said that we should record live," and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I did bring the recorder. I'll be back at midnight."
I won't know my first name, but let's do one. Sure.
Yeah, let's do it. We used to do a lot more, and it really got busy this year. Just half the time we're doing something for the event until 10 o'clock. And then you got to order Chinese or pizza because that's the only thing open. And then all of a sudden it's 1 a.m. and you should have gone to bed an hour ago, So
we've got something to talk to you about that after we hang up. But in case people haven't figured out, Adam, GridLife, how would they keep in contact with you and follow along?
Grid.life is the website, GridLife official on Instagram, and obviously GridLife on Facebook. The place that I don't participate anymore. No more Facebook for me. I had to go away. I lurk on Instagram. It's always fun. But we post a lot of stuff on Instagram, GridLife on Twitch, GridLife official on Twitch and on YouTube, I think. Twitch is actually where we've been getting crazy amounts of stream views too, which is wild. We had like 600,000 or 800,000 people watch Heartland Park, which is cool. Really, really cool. So
that's a lot.
People want to watch live things on Twitch, which is rad. And that's probably an audience that like typically wouldn't have found us too, which is very, very cool.
That's amazing.
And then my personal socials don't exist. So, you can't find me anywhere except for adam@grid.life. That's my email. You're
super secret, stellar sleuth. The only time you stick out is when it's 900 degrees and you're walking around in a full hoodie and long pants and work boots. Yeah,
work boots.
That's got to be Adam or Carson. I'm not sure which one. One of those two.
So we found out at Lime Rock that me and Carson wear the same work boots too. We're both Red Wing guys. Same exact Red Wings.
I'm sure. The only way you can tell the difference is Carson's usually orange.
Carson's a little skinnier, a little shorter, a little longer beard.
Yeah, a little bit. So
cool. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on, man.
All right. Always welcome, Adam. And if we don't bother you this winter, and if I don't see you at PRI, I will be sure to bother you next season.
I'm sorry I had to reschedule like 3 times because family and life things.
Fine.
So, Adam, you had no breaks this year. Don't worry.
It was a busy year. And then I think half of the times I had to cancel, I actually had to go randomly put out fires, not literally, but like put out fires at GridLife at the office in the middle of the night.
We fully understand.
Most of
not a
my
problem.
Fitz miles are between here and GridLife, banging down the potholes of the Dan Ryan Expressway in Chicago. So, yeah.
That
Anyway.
needs to upgrade.
Yeah, I need to give me a Bell helicopter or something.
There you go.
It'd be amazing.
Well, until we bother you again, Adam. Thank you.
Talk to you soon, guys.
All right.
All
Bye.
right.
What's up, sir?
I think I got it. Did I get it?
You did.
Oh man. Okay.
It's like you've done this podcasting thing once or twice.
Man, the Zoom thing gets me every time because I have like a new cell phone every 6 months. So
I get you. I get you.
Yeah. How's the audio here?
It actually sounds pretty good.
Do I have to do video because
You do not.
I've been in the cold all day.
You do not.
I look windburned. So.
You can sit in your hot tub naked. We don't care. It's fine.
That sounds good. I'd take that, but I don't have a hot tub.
Well, you know,
anyway,
not at home, just at the track, right?
What the hell did I just walk into?
Nothing.
True.
Don't worry
I've
about it.
been in hot tubs at the racetrack.
Oh God.
What happens at the racetrack stays at the racetrack.
At multiple racetracks, actually, too.
I'm
Hey,
sure.
Bill, will you ask me to let the dog in? She's scratching at the door.
I could, but I might as well just do it. Oh no.
Okay.
Let that dog in.
Yeah, that's the puppy.
Yeah. What kind of dogs do you guys have?
I have a Bernese mountain dog.
Oh, cool. Those are beautiful dogs.
Yeah, she's a little bitch. She barks at everything.
Oh, that is a problem.
Yeah, but she's fine. She's a little jumpy. You know, we got her, and in her development years, we entered COVID, the isolation of COVID. So she's very jumpy about things. She didn't get properly socialized, but we're working on it.
Yeah. Well, you can change those things.
Yeah, you can. How you doing?
Yeah. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Better than the last time I saw you guys. It was 105 or whatever it was at NJMP.
Oh my God.
Ridiculous.
Oh.
That was I think it was the hottest or second hottest I've ever been at the racetrack.
I don't remember ever being that hot that time of year, even at that track.
It was a scorcher. So anyway. Yeah. Should we get started? How do you guys start with guests right now?
I babble. Vicky makes fun of me. We start the podcast.
Just randomly start recording like I do.
Oh, I record as soon as I'm in. I'm recording, so I usually edit this stuff, and then I'll do a quick intro, and then we'll get rolling. Miss Vicky, you good to go?
Yep. Welcome to Garage Heroes in Training.
Wait.
I'll be one of your hosts, Vicky Fisher.
Oh, stop!
Who else is hosting?
Would you jump a little premature here? Mr. Jabaay, is there anything we need to promote for you? Anything you want to get into?
When will this go out?
December.
Summer.
Yeah.
We'll probably be at PRI, but if it's out before then, we could tell people to go to our booth at PRI. We're gonna have a video gaming thing like we did last year.
When's PRI?
But otherwise, PRI is like the middle of December, like almost the middle. It's like the 10th.
Do you want it?
10th. So.
Do you want it before or do you want it after?
It doesn't matter. Not a big deal. But otherwise, all we've really got in the works right now is esports stuff. The schedule stuff will be out in the next few weeks, so no big deal. Okay. We can talk about it.
Well, if we say we will postpone it till after PRI, can we talk about the schedule?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay. Then
we're hoping actually to release a schedule in the next week or so, like a tentative. We're waiting on one big old track in California that might make us do more California runs to
something
do a festival
with a hill
in California. Yeah, they got this Hill with a corkscrew.
You
So,
got a little hill that goes down and to the left and then to the
Yep.
right. Yeah, yeah.
in whatever directions it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've only walked it. I've never driven it. But,
We've driven it. It's fun.
The goal would be to do a festival at Laguna and then support it with a couple of California rounds. And we've got like a pretty decent audience in California already.
You do.
We've done three pretty successful weekends out there in the last 4 years. We didn't do it in 2020, I don't think, but
Yeah, 2020 was, you just did that test and tune down in Button Willow or something, maybe?
yeah, we've been at Willow Springs for
Willow
the
Springs.
last 3 events. We were at Streets of Willow the first year. That was in 2019. And that was like a standalone event with some prizing and stuff. We did bracket battles, which is kind of like a form of time attack competition that we've done in years past. Sort of like a knockout bracket, which is pretty cool. And then
Burning pod.
Oh, don't
What's
worry.
that?
I've got a list here. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
are we doing the show right now?
Not yet. No.
Okay. Well,
No.
I'll stop getting too in depth.
All right.
So,
Very well.
but yeah, and we're also pushing real hard in the East Coast. So East Coast and West Coast. We've got a Watkins Glen weekend. So
Ooh, the boot.
Yeah. So in April.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well,
Anyway.
we'll cover all that and act suitably surprised at anything we covered already. So that's
All right,
fine.
I'll stop rambling.
No worries.
Ah,
You going or am I going?
I'll go.
Okay.
Hold on, let me clear my head. Let me clear my head.